What's going on, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports podcast of your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbott, coming to you on a wonderful day with a lot of sports news to talk about. We got the World Cup and everything that's going on, of course, so obviously everybody's getting engaged into that. We got a lot of NBA news coming out, obviously some NFL news, but the focus of today's podcast is going to be primarily on the NBA. So before I jump into all that, you already know, if you ever wanted a central location where you can find all Brendan Abbott content, you can find that on my new website, BrendanAbbott.com, which is spelled BrendanAbbban.com, which has all episodes of the podcast, my blog, and other content you can only find on BrendanAbbott.com. So make sure you go check it out. And also follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Rabble TV, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. That way you will receive notifications whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live or when a new episode is posted. Also follow the KBR Sports Podcast on Twitter at KBR_sports, where links, topics, and podcast updates are tweeted. And finally, make sure you comment, like, and share your favorite KBR Sports episodes to give your opinions on any topic and to show your support for the show, which is always appreciated. If you all hear some popping noises in the backgrounds because there's fireworks going off here, a lot of people very excited about what's going on for Father's Day and everything like that, so a lot of fireworks going on. This was going on even before Father's Day, so I know with the day actually being here that people are just letting the fireworks go off. But we got somebody that's a consistent member on the show. Been a while since we had him on, but had to bring him back to talk about some NBA news with me. Give it up for y'all for Nigel. My man's coming back on the show. Nigel, what is going on, my brother? What's poppin', bro?
Not much, man. Not much at all.
Bro, the people miss you.
Been away for a while to come back to that. A very uninteresting hello. But, you know, what can you do?
You gotta give him that fire, that vintage Nigel. How's your day going?
Since you've been away, I've turned over a new leaf. I'm a calm, mild-mannered man now. So, I'll keep it as a simple hello. How are you doing today, sir?
Nigel, shut up, man.
What you mean?
He lying to the people, bro. Man, alright, so, guys, you already know I had to bring Nigel to talk on about this NBA Kawhi news that we've all been hearing about Kawhi wanting out of San Antonio. Obviously, a big deal going on and everything like that. I mean, Nigel, what do you think about the news that Kawhi wants out of San Antonio?
Okay, I want to start first. The thing I think about it is that we haven't heard from Kawhi a word from him in months. I saw a tweet earlier. No, it wasn't a tweet. It was a snippet from an interview from David Griffin, I think. He was saying until they meet face to face, this doesn't mean too much. And I'm like, at some point, either A, they need to meet face to face, or Kawhi needs to say something. He hasn't said a word. He didn't say anything when the playoffs happened. He was there. He didn't say anything when the reports started first coming out. Nothing. So, I mean, I think that's kind of weird itself.
It is one of those things that I do believe that is a bit odd, because remember when they even were talking about how LaMarcus Aldridge wanted to trade it out, and Greg Popovich essentially switched him from that mind frame, and it is weird because we haven't heard anything from Kawhi. It's just been dead silence, it seems like.
And then, crazy thing is, after they met, hashed it out, LaMarcus Aldridge goes on to have one of his best years of his career. Yeah,
he did, and that's the weird thing in this aspect too. But with LaMarcus, it didn't seem like the issues there were what's the word I'm looking? Yeah, like they couldn't mend it back together. But with Kawhi, it just seems like so much was mishandled of the situation. Like when his uncle and him decided to go seek out a second opinion on his quadricep injury, it seemed like his favor with San Antonio kind of went down the hill. The organization didn't have his back. And then you hear the things about with the player-only meeting and what's going on with that, where you have guys like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili confronting him. And I never understood who thought it was a good idea for Tony Parker to come out and say, "Oh, well, I had the same injury and I'm still playing now. My injury was worse." It just doesn't make any sense. If the guy isn't sitting out of games just because he wants to sit out of games. Obviously, if he could play, he would play. So I didn't understand who thought that was a good idea for Tony Parker to go out there and I've heard Steven Jackson say that it wouldn't have happened if Popovich didn't kind of give his blessing for it to happen. But that just doesn't seem like the course of action that would lead to mended fences in my book.
Yeah, I was just reading this actually. So now this has led to outside of Manson and David Robinson, every other star that played with Greg Popovich has been close to leaving. Tim Duncan almost left to go to Orlando. The one coach demanded trade. Tony Parker clashed with him early in his career. Do you think that it's just one of those things where it's going to be clash happens and they come back together, or do you think this is actually going to happen?
It's weird because I'm actually sitting here trying to conceptualize the thought of Greg Popovich letting the star he has of this generation, who's universally recognized as, if not a top 5 player, a top 3 player. So for me, it's hard to just imagine him.
He's only 26?
Yeah, he's only 26 years old. And for me to conceptualize the thought of, oh, we're going to let him walk because he's disgruntled and this whole situation was handled a certain way, it's just hard for me to fathom it, especially since so many people seem to think he has that Tim Duncan-esque personality about him and he fits that San Antonio mold.
The weird thing is that Tim Duncan, I mean, he was still personable, I guess is the word, just quiet. Well, you never thought, like, he was, like, cold or anything like that. Like, I don't, like, I rarely see any time. I don't think I've ever thought Kawhi was personal.
You say you never thought he was?
Yeah, like, Tim Duncan, I mean, like, you see all the time people talk about Tim Duncan, they're like, oh, he's a jokester, he talks, you know, behind the scenes all the time and stuff like that. But, like, Kawhi is just, like, dead silence.
I seen him smile sometimes, though.
I mean, yeah, bro, when he laughed at All-Star break, like, it was a thing.
Yeah, it was actually. It was a huge thing because everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, Kawhi Leonard can smile."
Yeah, because I see differentiating reports. I see, like, he doesn't want to be the man. He doesn't mind not getting the super max. He doesn't want the pressures of being the main guy on the team. But then at the same time, it's like when the reports started coming out, it was like he wanted to go to LA. So it's also like, which is it? Is it now he wants to be just not the man? Does he not want to be? Does he want to go to bigger markets? What exactly does he wants? But we don't know because he hasn't done any interviews. He hasn't done anything. Like when Kyrie, I know I give Kyrie a hard time when he got traded, but he did interviews. He explained why he wanted to get traded.
So it was like Kawhi. We've kind of been in a dark place with him all throughout this season. And
yeah, it's like, I mean, some kind of clarification would be nice.
And it's weird because I feel like we sit here confused about what Kawhi wants, but we're sitting here in the shroud of whatever his uncle is doing. So I don't know how much of it is Kawhi's influence or is it his uncle's influence? Because I don't even know who this story, because I believe Shams, right? He broke the story, right?
Yeah. I think Woj broke the story.
Because I thought Shams broke the story that he wanted out of San Antonio, and then Woj broke the part that he wanted to go to the Lakers he just wanted to go to Los Angeles, but preferably the Lakers.
I'm fairly confident Woj broke it minutes before.
So that's the one thing that's been confusing me, is because we don't know what it seems like what Kawhi truly wants, because like you say, he never comes out and speaks on it. But even on the topic of what we're speaking about, the Lakers, what do you think the likelihood even is of him getting traded to LA and preferably to play with the Lakers? I heard the Clippers are trying to make a package to pitch for Kawhi, but I don't know what the likelihood is of
I'm glad
them having him.
You said the Clippers, because the Clippers. There's a tweet. All right, well, first of all, to your thing about the Lakers, Chris Sheridan said there is a 0% chance Spurs trade Kawhi Leonard to a Western Conference team.
Here's the thing where we're talking about with the Lakers. So I guess where we have to piece together a way that you could get the Kawhi to the Lakers is because what the Lakers would essentially want to do is get Kawhi, Paul George, and LeBron James. So it would have to be a scenario where you could get all of them. So I guess in a situation where you could possibly make it happen is where you would trade. The Lakers would get Kawhi, the Spurs would get Lonzo Ball, Luol Deng, Kyle Kuzma. Then you could bring in the Magic, and the Magic would get Joffrey Laverne and the Lakers 2020 second round pick and $1.7 million in cash from the Lakers, in which that would free up the salary that Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak grossly gave Luol Deng, but that would free up that salary cap space so they could go pursue a Paul George or LeBron James and fit all those guys under the cap. Because right now with Kawhi's current contract, it would be, he's right at about $20.1 million. So then you would be able to fit him and LeBron James, who would probably make about $35 million estimated, and then with Paul George getting around $30 million because he hasn't hit the 10 plus years experience cap yet, so he doesn't get that extra $5 million that LeBron gets. So with that situation, you could get you could fit all those guys under the cap. I don't know if a package of Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and even particularly having to add Luol Deng on there, I don't know if that's really an arousing proposition. I mean, you could switch Lonzo Ball out with Brandon Ingram, but I don't think the Lakers would want to get rid of Brandon Ingram if they had their druthers of choosing between him and Lonzo Ball.
Well, in terms of Lonzo, Rose tweeted out earlier that Lonzo the Spurs, hold your breath on that. He doesn't think that's going to happen. And then secondly, as soon as you mention Luol, like a package involving Luol Deng, you know Luol Deng, do you know how long his contract is? Off the top of your head?
He has 2 years left.
You have to take on 16 mil, 17 mil for 2 years of dead cap space, essentially.
It's not a very attractive proposition.
It's not like the Spurs if they trade Kawhi are like looking to do a full on rebuild either. It's like they still have LaMarcus there. They still have Tony Parker in his last 2 years. They still have Manu in his last year probably. They still have people. You know, Greg Popovich is not a young guy either. So I don't think they're looking to do a full on rebuild at the moment.
Well, that's the weird thing too, because then where would you see the destiny? Because if the Lakers, if Kawhi was essentially to say, I want to go to Lakers, that is the team I will re-sign with, because he has that power to do so. I mean, I see Kawhi, when we talked about Kyrie Irving last summer, in which Kyrie Irving gave the Cavaliers a list. He didn't end up going to any of those teams, of course, and he ended up going to the team that gave the Cavaliers the best package, I guess. So even though we see now that in hindsight, what the Cavs got wasn't really that great. They essentially got the 8th pick, and they flipped it.
It's still better than, I'll be real, it's still better than I think anything else offered.
I think the 8th pick is what was real, or the Brooklyn pick at the time. The possibility of Brooklyn having the number 1 pick was what lured them, and I think that was what the big thing. And then we now know it's the 8th pick, so it's not as worth what everybody suspected it to be, but I think that was the main tripper, and I think people thought Isaiah Thomas, of course, was going to be better. But aside from that, it's the fact that the Cavs made the deal that was best for their team, as opposed to what Kyrie Irving actually said he wanted to go. And now people are seeing here that, like, oh, Kyrie hasn't fully committed to Boston, and what's he going to do in the summer? And right now financially, it doesn't make sense for him to sign a contract extension with the Celtics. So it makes no sense. You can make more money signing next year, so it doesn't make any sense. But people are expecting a more committal answer from him, and he's kind of just staying way more in the wind with it a bit. And even though Kyrie's on this whole woke thing, so he's like, I mean, it's true. Like, Kyrie's really just on the whole woke path. Like, the earth is flat. He said he was trolling people. I don't know. But it's one of those things that when you trade, you don't want to be a team that trades pretty much all your assets for Kawhi. A team like the Celtics can afford that, because, I mean, when you have Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford under contract, not much that's going to hurt you, especially with the plethora of draft picks that they have in their pocket. But when you're a team like the Lakers, a team like Philly, a team like, just all these other suitors for Kawhi, the Raptors, I mean, it's just not a situation where you want to go in and possibly give up your biggest assets in order to get Kawhi Leonard, and then he ends up leaving in a year if he's saying that he wants to be with the Lakers.
Right. Well, does he have 2 years on the deal or 1 year after this year?
He has 1 year, and I think he has a player opt-in.
I saw he had multiple years left. I didn't know he had an option on his deal right now.
Yeah, I think he has 1 year, then he has a player option.
Oh, okay.
That's the weird aspect of it all, because I don't know if you're one of those teams that are trying to get Kawhi, like what are you willing to risk, especially if he's saying, because I mean that's one of the things that we're even speaking about, the fact that we don't know what Kawhi wants to do. But then I see the report from Woj that he preferred the Lakers. I'm like, where's that coming from? I don't know how to really judge that bit of information just because I don't know where that is coming from.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the thing is, he said he prefers to go to the Lakers. He didn't put down a ultimatum of trade me to the Lakers.
Weren't the Knicks included in that as well? I saw
I didn't see anything about the Knicks. It may have been. I just didn't see it.
Yeah, see, I saw some about the Knicks in there, and in regards to Kawhi's contract, he has a player option. Just to confirm that he does have a player option in 2019. So after this season, he would have the option to opt in or opt out, whichever one.
Let me ask you a question real quick. I was curious about this. Why do you think why do you think players ever include the Lakers? I mean, not the Lakers, the Knicks, places they want to go to?
Because of ownership.
You think that's the biggest thing?
I think that is the biggest thing, because I think people have seen especially what happened with Charles Oakley and how James Dolan has handled that whole franchise, and the Knicks have been a bad team for years. They haven't built a team that seems like it would have pieces. They haven't really utilized their pieces the best way, and I don't think people really believe in their management, and I don't think they've really made the best coaching decisions for their franchise as well. I think that would be different now that they got Fizdale in there, but I just think that people don't believe in the Knicks management. I think that's the core reason why. I think people would love to play with Kristaps Porzingis, but that's really all that's there.
Okay, so going back to the Lakers and the straight package together. First of all, even if he says I want to go to the Lakers, I just don't know if the Spurs are they okay taking on. I mean, like, they're not going to get a pick out of it. They're going to get Lonzo most likely and Kuzma probably. I think that's fair to say. Is that enough? Is it worth trading Kawhi for that?
I don't think any package of players that isn't getting you a superstar back is necessarily worth
that.
I don't think it's worth. I don't think. Now let's say, because look, we see how big a deal. Like, do you think it would be worth trading Kawhi Leonard? Let's say like you had the option. I'm not saying Kawhi's leaving or anything like that, but let's say if you had the option to trade Kawhi Leonard for Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, would you do that?
No.
You said no?
No.
You see, even though and Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan are better players than Lonzo and Kyle Kuzma right now, and it's just because you have a superstar, and to get the return value for a superstar, unless you have that player that could become a superstar, that return value is just not as. It just sets you back in terms of if you're not getting a whole truckload of draft picks, which could materialize into a superstar, unless you have a player. It'd be more understandable if Brandon Ingram was a part of the package, who everybody still believes could possibly have that superstar potential. But unless you're getting that kind of guy back, it's tough to really.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only Boston could offer Brown and 2 first-rounders, something like that. I would jump on that in a heartbeat.
The Celtics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think what the Celtics can offer them is definitely huge. But then we also have now here's the storyline here plot with that, because people let me kind of take it back to the Lakers for a second, because people are saying that the Lakers and other teams are a little bit skeptical about trading for Kawhi because they don't know about his health and what's going on with his injury. So what about that aspect of it?
Clippers and Celtics, Clippers and Lakers.
Yeah.
That's what they say. They haven't. I don't think they've contacted the Spurs the full extent of the injury.
Yeah. So like what? Then in terms of that aspect of it, that kind of convolutes things. But then, see, here's the weird thing, because then we're in this weird timetable now where we feel like we need this trade, if it's going to happen within the next coming weeks, because we're in a situation where the free agency starts July 1st. So if you're going to get LeBron James, the Kawhi trade pretty much has to happen before that, so that then they can free up the cap space to get Kawhi and to get LeBron and to get Paul George. And essentially so that they can fit all those guys under the cap. So we're kind of in this weird place right now where we feel like we have to have the Kawhi trade immediately.
So the Paul George, LeBron James, Kawhi, I think it's a long shot, right?
Essentially, yeah.
So I think the more realistic situation is that they pull 2 of the 3 as opposed to the 3.
Do you think a team of Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Paul George will be able to beat the Warriors?
I think it depends on who plays again.
If there was a lineup with, let's say by some miraculous conception of reality, actually let me not say that, because I could say both scenarios. If the starting lineup includes Lonzo Ball, LeBron James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and a big man of some sort on a veteran exception or something like that, is that team good enough to beat the Warriors?
I don't know, man. Lonzo's a terrible shooter.
That's what makes this weird. Okay, so then what about on the other side of it? If you have a team of Brandon Ingram taking out Lonzo, and then you have some big man, is that team good enough to beat the Warriors?
No.
Still no.
Playoff P doesn't have the strongest playoff history. Second of all, the shooting. I'm just concerned about the shooting.
Yeah, I know the shooting is a issue, but Brandon Ingram isn't a bad shooter though.
He's not a bad shooter, but how good of a shooter is he? It's my question.
It is kind of tricky, because I don't know if he could get a better quality of shots. Because even looking at how Brandon Ingram's performed in his first 2 seasons so far, Last year he shot 39% from three.
Did he really?
Yeah, he shot 39% from three.
How many attempts?
He attempted 1.8 a game.
So, none.
Hey, 2 attempts a game, 39%.
It's a very low sample size for a season.
It is a lower sample size of what we have for him, but in terms of like totals, okay, so he took 105 threes, hit 41 of them.
Man, that is such a low amount of threes.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, just like the fit's kind of weird to me as well. Like, because Kawhi and Paul George are playmakers. Who's your, like, if you don't have Lonzo, who's your secondary playmaker? Because Brandon Ingram, like, don't know, he's developing it, but he's not there yet. And your big man is not going to be your playmaker. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that. So it's like, who's your secondary playmaker?
it is weird. I don't know. Like, it's weird because I think it's one of those things that you kind of have to, guys have to develop that aspect of their game because of the team that they're on, maybe. So I don't know, because I've seen a lot going on for LeBron teams, and LeBron teams just seem to find a way to make it work in order to get themselves into the finals.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The team, like in on paper, D-Wade and LeBron shouldn't have worked
because the play styles were so similar.
Yeah, well, play styles were similar. Neither of them were great shooters. D-Wade was a great mid-range shooter, but not good from distance. So I mean, both at the point in their career needed the ball to be effective. But I mean, they ended up going to 4 straight finals.
That they did, which was what kind of makes you take it back. But this would be in the West. But I don't know. I feel like that team.
That was my next question.
I feel like that team, man, in the Western Conference, they're just so talented. And you have the guys, particularly against the Warriors, you have Kawhi Leonard, who's normally done the best job guarding Kevin Durant. One of the few guys that can, on a, I'm not going to say routine basis, but from time to time, it ended up being able to block Kevin Durant's jump shot. Then,
I think it's kind of more how he guards Kevin Durant. I mean, because it's not like Kevin Durant ever played bad against the Spurs.
No, it's not. It's not that he's played bad, but he makes Kevin Durant work a lot tougher. That per se, like better. That's what I mean more so. Like he makes him work tougher to get his buckets. And I'm saying that we've seen these guys go up against the Warriors in roles where they had the burdens of guarding Kevin Durant and carrying the load on offense. So if Kawhi is in a role where maybe LeBron is creating more so on offense where he doesn't have to, and he can focus more of the energy on defense playing alongside of LeBron, and LeBron doesn't have to expend that energy having to worry about Kevin Durant, maybe that unlocks people's games, or maybe Paul George is the guy that takes on that assignment, or he takes on the assignment to guard Steph. So I feel like it just makes the game, and then maybe that fourth guy, Lonzo or Brandon Ingram, can take that assignment of guarding Steph or whoever else, because I mean Lonzo's 6'6", Brandon Ingram's like 6'9", 6'8". So each of those guys has the athletic ability to be able to defend on the wing and switch pretty much every single matchup that the Warriors could provide.
I don't think so.
I know. See, and that's the thing. I guess this is where Myles Garrett's comment about the Warriors. I mean, this is a conversation for a different day for us, but about how Myles Garrett said that Kevin Durant broke the league because he made the Warriors just that good that even a team of LeBron, Kawhi, and Paul George were sitting here like, oh my gosh, could they do it? But
then, like, at that point, it's like, all right, I'm not one to harp on balance of the league and et cetera, et cetera. I'm really not. But man, you would have essentially four of the top 5 players on 2 teams.
Yeah, it's wrong, man. It's just
you would have fifth in James Harden on a team that has no chance at that point. The 6th or 7th in Anthony Davis, who would have no chance at this point. I don't know. Like I would like to see some talent stay on their teams, or it's not just form like this omega team.
No, yeah, it's the. I feel like I wish the league would get back to a point where the talent spread out, but I don't know if we're ever going to get to a point. 'Cause even if, like, say that super team formed it with the Lakers, what we're looking at, the other fill out guys might be guys like Josh Hart.
I don't think super teams are inherently bad. I think super teams that are so much better than every other team in the league is the problem.
So would you think the Lakers would be that much better than everybody else if they added LeBron, Kawhi, and Paul George?
I think they would be right under the
Warriors.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you think the Warriors are that much better than everybody else, yeah, I think they'll be right there.
Even with how we saw the Warriors got pushed by in this season?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think the Warriors will still be, just because we've seen how well the Warriors play when they play at their best, it's tough to get that version of them out of your minds because you know how well they are. But then you know that they're starting to face that attrition of, oh, we've been here so many times. We've played for so long. You see them starting to kind of wear with that feeling of, okay, like this is the third straight finals or fourth straight finals. Third, you know, it's kind of starting to wear on them that they've been here this many times. What?
Definitely 5.
5 straight finals. Oh, if they went back again?
Yeah, they go back next year.
Exactly. So it'd be like their 5th run, and it's just like, at what point are they just like, man, and you can kind of catch them.
The difference is, I mean, it's not like they burn themselves out in the regular season. They talk about how bored they get during the regular season.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I mean, it's not like they can't rest during the season. It's not like the Bulls. They were like, you know, going full throttle all season, every season. Jordan playing 38 minutes, Pippen's playing 38 minutes, etc., stuff like that. I mean, they're playing like 34, 35 minutes. A couple games rest here and there, and stuff like that.
The Warriors can like sneeze a sprained ankle, and the guy's sitting for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, oh man, Kevin Durant's out. Well, we just have to rely on our 3 all-star pick analysts. You know.
I know, for real, it's true. But yeah, bro, we're gonna talk about that. We gotta talk about that definitely in a different day for sure, because I feel like the Warriors' dominance is definitely a good topic to talk about, especially with the teams. Like, do we need these super teams to combat them? Like, we're gonna answer that question on a different podcast, because this one definitely we got as much Kawhi stuff in as we could. But in this last, let me ask you this question before we just end the podcast. But do you think by the start of next season, Kawhi Leonard is a San Antonio Spur?
All right, actually, I'm gonna answer your question with another question.
Gosh damn it!
All right, with all the interest around the league, give me some predictions aside from Kawhi. And no, I don't think he'll be a Spurs at the start of the season.
Give you some predictions aside. I think that with all the interest in the league,
around the league. I mean, you have Wiggins and Jimmy Butler, who apparently don't get along. LeBron apparently leaving free agency. Paul George reports that he's actually liking OKC. He has a better chance to re-sign than you think.
If I had to pick one, I don't think Wiggins is getting traded. I don't know what Jimmy Butler's contract situation is exactly.
Jimmy just signed the contract.
Jimmy Butler did. He just signed it with the Bulls and he got traded, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of him, I don't think Andrew Wiggins is going to get traded. I think they're going to try and fix that to work something out, because they don't ever get free agents in Minnesota. So what are you going to do? I think that the Chris Paul free agency is very interesting, because I do wonder, because I don't think he's going to get the Supermax. I don't think that you're going to give it to an aging point guard.
Do you think he will be a Rocket to start the season next season?
Is LeBron a Laker?
I don't think he is.
Then Chris Paul is most likely a Rocket.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think the Lakers on the big 3 that they're going to go for.
I know, I have this weird sense of it too, and I feel as though there's a lot of like big hype coming up in this. Like, everybody's just like, I feel like anytime there's a guy available, everybody's like, the Lakers have to make a plunge for it, just because it's the Lakers. Sort of like how it was with Danny Ainge a year ago when Paul George was like available for trade, and everybody's like, Danny Ainge has to trade that pick to go get Paul George, and then he got a better player in Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
So then it's like, with the Lakers, everybody's like, oh, you have to go and get Kawhi, or you have to plunge on this and that guy. And you kind of see them like, if they make, it's not like they're in a situation with where the Celtics are, where they have a treasure trove of picks. If you pretty much just bail on this young core, and if things don't work out, they don't work out for however long. It's not like there's something in the foreseeable future where you have this many draft picks and you're just set up. They're not going to work out, especially if you just bring one guy and no other guys come to join him, which everybody's is pretty much presuming that's not going to be the situation because it's the Lakers. But I believe that that's not always certainly the case. Like, I always remember that people always kind of bash Kobe Bryant about the last contract he signed. But one thing I always tell people about that contract, and the thing that always loses me on when it comes to context, is that nobody wanted to come to the Lakers anyway. the team was bad. Like, there wasn't a good contract they gave Kobe for pretty much with what he could give you moving forward, but they still had enough cap to sign another guy. Nobody wanted to come to the Lakers. I think that was the summer of LaMarcus Aldridge, and nobody wanted to come there. He gave them an interview, but he didn't want to come there. So it's it was way more than that. So it's one of those things that some things go beyond just what we see on the court or what we see. Behind. It's so much more to this stuff that people don't acknowledge to me sometimes, and it can be frustrating because there's so much. Like, guys have to think about their families. Guys have to think about how they fit with different guys and the whole nine. And how you're talking about how guys can whiff, how the Lakers might whiff. If you think about it, when was the last time the Lakers signed a big free agent? Exactly. So it's like, even though this is like the Laker lure and all that, it's not like it's a franchise that's been just signing guys off ease for years. I don't know which franchise really pulls free agents like that on a regular basis. The Knicks haven't done it. LA hasn't. Like, it's just not something that regularly happens to a degree. And most often you see that recently what we had is just guys like middle tier stars kind of just going between teams or going wherever they're going. But a lot of franchises don't really sign big guys like that for whatever reason.
That's true. All right. So if we think the Lakers are going to whiff. All right, so we're gonna go through this real quickly. What do you think LeBron lands?
I think we should probably talk about it on different podcasts, honestly.
Okay.
'Cause I think we can dedicate a whole segment to that for sure. Okay. But all right, y'all.
I would rather do it before. I got time. It's only 17.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have a good amount of time. But all right, everybody, it's KBR Sports, the best sports podcast of your 24-hour day with Brendan Abbin. If you ever wanted a central location where you can find all Brendan Abbin content, you can find that on my new website, BrendanAbbin.com, which has episodes of the podcast, my blog, and other content you can only find on BrendanAbbin.com, which is spelled BrendanAbbin.com. So make sure you go check it out. And also follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. That way you'll receive notifications whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live or when a new episode is posted. But also make sure you follow the KBR Sports Podcast on Twitter at KBR_sports, where links, topics, and podcast updates are tweeted. And finally, make sure you comment, like, and share your favorite KBR Sports episodes to give your opinions on any topic and to show your support for the show, which I always appreciate for sure, and I know Nigel appreciates as well. So, guys, as we used to always do it back in the day, Nigel, what is the inspirational quote of the day?
To love yourself is to understand you don't need to be perfect to be good.
Hits me right in the heart, bro. That hit me right in the heart.
I know what it is. I know.
All right, y'all, give it up for Nigel for coming on the show.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Happy Father's Day to everybody. And make sure everybody, you check out the episode of the podcast. Check out other episodes of the podcast as well. Going to be coming out with another one this week. For sure, everybody give it up for Nigel one more time. Nigel, when do you think you'll be on the podcast again?
It'll be something soon. Yeah, whenever you're available to do it. You're the busy one, not me.
Bro, schedules be flocking, bro. Who knows? But all right, y'all. Everybody have a good day. Make sure you let your followers know you love them.